Well, hello, and welcome to yet another episode of Hopeful Resistance. My name is Sarah. This is my son, Aaron.
Hi.
And we are here pretty much every week sharing our thoughts on the fuckery that's going on in the US. We talk about the batshit craziness of people in general. And we also try to frame it in some logical and emotionally intelligent way so that you can absorb it, wrap your mind around it, and also figure out how in the bloody hell do you maintain hopefulness while you're resisting when there are, ready, Aaron?
Yeah.
So
So
many
many
things.
things.
Anyway, so this week is no different. That we are here. Certainly, it's Sunday, June 22nd. Yesterday was a pretty momentous day in so many ways. Aaron, you are the guiding light for what we talk about every week. Do you care to give us any little vision of loveliness for what we will talk about today?
Oh man, hype.
So,
Yeah. So many things.
well, why don't we
Um,
start with, how about if we start it with the MAGA talking points, the MAGA civil discourse guide, or
yeah,
no?
well, I would say that that's probably a good place to start because I feel like it'll inevitably tie in. I definitely want to talk about our strikes in Iran. I definitely want to talk about recent conversations that I keep having about the purity politics of the modern left. I mean, there's just so many like
Oh,
there's so
it
many like different angles to approach this thing these
well,
days. So
I want to say, of course, I am absolutely open to being wrong, but I think that we can officially say that we have lost control of this current administration. That there are no guardrails anymore.
yeah, I mean, I feel like that's probably been evident for a while. I I also feel like it's because people don't fully understand how basically the the bulk of our um, the bulk of the legislative branch's power has been slowly creeped over to the executive branch, say over the last 20 years, and it's operated just fine because whoever was in office, and we talked about this before, always was operating in good faith on what was good for the nation and what was good for everybody. And I
Yeah.
feel like we've transitioned away from that.
Well, and it is interesting. I think that we took democracy for granted. We assumed, we trusted in the judgment of the American people. And I don't think any of us ever expected that the person who would be holding the highest office in the country would be operating in bad faith for his own personal gain. I have yet to see any credible evidence that he's doing otherwise.
Yeah, and I mean, I would say that the otherwise right now would be the strikes on Iran. I feel like the strikes on Iran are more, um, like where that were more or less instigated and manipulated by Israel, and our close ties with them.
I'm not going
Um,
to argue. I'm not going to argue that. I don't disagree. I think one of the things that are important right now is if you are sitting on the side of the table where you have been resisting, where you have been hopeful, where you went to protest, you've been doing all the right things. The bombing of Iran yesterday seems like a slap in the face to that. It seems like something that has created a hopeless situation. And I know that what I have just seen on social media is whether they're real, whether they're bots, or whether they're trolls, the MAGA uh, population, uh, almost like moving a piece of furniture and all the roaches come out. That's what it feels like today. So, why don't we start with the MAGA, just the civil discourse guide, where we can talk about right now. We're seeing a lot of MAGA and Trump supporters just railroading a lot of their typical talking points. I wrote, by way of reminding you, I am a retired behaviorist and also a professional communicator. So I did write a civil discourse guide that's based on the 9 patterns of behavior that are consistent and observable in the MAGA population.
Yeah, so I really loved I really loved reading through this. I think because in whole or in part because I feel like it's probably some of it is feels like it stemmed from our conversations. Some of it is stuff that I have observed in conversation, just in the political discourse, the political debates, whatever. All the political content that I consume deals a lot with this behavior. And the people that are in those spaces, or at least some of the higher level people in those spaces, are aware of this behavior, and then their methodologies for countering it.
One of the most interesting thing about being a behaviorist is that people are predictable. Once you observe their patterns of behavior over time, you see the trends.
Mm,
And MAGA, with very few exceptions, and I don't deal with exceptions.
yeah.
They exist. That's not my thing. These 9, we'll put the link. You can find it on Medium. I go by my name on medium.com. Are you able to pull up the talking points or no?
Yeah,
Yes?
yeah. Hang on. If you want, we can.
Oh, I don't care. I mean, for people who are watching, do you need the link?
No, I've got it pulled up here. Um, I mean, I'll keep it up, and as you talk, I'll try to make sure that I'm scrolling down it. But let me get us
We'll be
over.
jumping all over, Aaron. You're
Yeah, I know.
gonna get sore.
Yeah, well, I know, and I mean, but we're as we start to play more and more with these new tools and these new layouts. I feel like it's
Yeah,
really
I'm telling you,
um, in
I am not society right now.
yeah. Well, that's what I mean. I feel like it's really important to try and utilize these tools because I think that they're the things that kind of separate the people. All
Hey,
right.
this little thing you've made is just pretty fancy.
Yeah, I put it
What's it
together.
called? An overlay?
Yeah, it's called an overlay. So, and I just transitioned us over to the share mode. So I've got your
Oh,
uh it's okay. Like you can't see it, but it'll be
I
on.
don't have an action item here, do I?
No.
You're shit.
Yeah, this
I'm
is
not.
yeah. Well,
Okay.
and that's really that's the fun of playing with these new tools. So, but it starts. But yeah, I've got it up open, and I don't know if you're just gonna read down it or if there's points that you want me to hit, and then I'll just scroll us to those points as we go along.
So basically, I think the thing that anybody who watches this now, we have a couple, and anybody who watches this later, the goal of this civil discourse guide is not to own the MAGA or to win over anybody. We're way beyond that. If you're talking to a tried and true Republican, you might get through. If you are talking to a Trump supporter, less likely. If you're talking to a MAGA person, this is simply so that you can hold your own, set healthy boundaries. This is not about changing anybody's mind. It's about recognizing their toxic patterns and being able to protect your sanity, your boundaries, and respond, or at least say, you just did blah, blah, blah. So you talk about this. We're not going to read it because
People to
our
go and read it.
I want them to go
Yeah,
read
of
it.
course.
The whole point of this is good faith. If someone is engaging in a difficult conversation in good faith, then of course you want to engage. But MAGA, with few exceptions, does not engage in good faith. So
Right.
I'm going to talk about these patterns protect you, knowing the patterns, understanding the patterns, being able to recognize the patterns. Sometimes we have these difficult conversations and somebody flips a switch and you're like, wait, what just happened? And it was a
Yes.
spin and flip. It was a redirect. It was a deflection. It was a self-aggrandizing something something. And if you can say, oh, that was
Yeah, you can
preempt.
point to the thing. Yeah.
Oh, now, okay, I know what I'm dealing with. So there's 9 patterns. The one that I think the most and that occurs the most that I have seen and experienced the most is what's called preemptive hostility.
Oh
So
yeah.
they come, you almost know it's a MAGA when they come into the conversation and call you stupid lib or oh, you crazy snowflakes or whatever.
Right.
Well, thank you for entering the conversation. I can see that we're going to be
Yeah, I
extremely
could tell we're getting somewhere. We're gonna go. This is definitely
productive.
gonna go somewhere.
Oh, you ventured in
Um,
good. Oh,
yeah.
good.
The one of the ones that that you hit on that I see quite a bit is, or I guess the two are probably connected, is your 5 and 6. So 5 is projection and accusation as defense, and 6 is moral high ground shift, reframing the conversation as moral, not factual.
I'm telling you, it absolutely has been happening all day on social
Oh yeah.
media when we have these conversations, and and so essentially what's happening is you're having a conversation and somebody does this. So, Aaron, didn't we talk about what's the one that we were gonna
Oh,
do?
oh, yeah, we could do this. As soon as I say, you're gonna remember it. Um, so, Mom, what do you think about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches?
I don't know. I'm a fan of grilled cheese.
Yeah, well, like, but I mean, peanut butter and jelly, right? Like, if you have peanut butter and jelly, it's a
You
good sandwich,
just
right?
don't like grilled cheese. What is it? You don't like cows?
Uh,
Like you dairy industry? Oh, so you don't like the dairy
yeah,
industry.
it's just like this complete shift over
But
to
it's
like,
actually called a deflection and a flip.
yeah, and it's just one of those
Well,
things
it
that
happened
just,
today. Honestly, I'm having a conversation with somebody about, okay, you're all for this military strike, then you sign up to serve. You grab your kids and grandkids and neighbors, you MAGA Trump supporters, you go and
well,
serve in the
see, well, and what's so funny is
came
that
back to me. See what they come back is, oh, you crazy libs, Trump's in office because it's your fault.
like where are we at? Well, and that's the same thing where like, I'm getting more and more active on Twitter, and one of the things that came up on Twitter was somebody like, I'll just try to pull this up, I guess, a little more, um, but it was along the lines of like, and I probably have it muted now because I just get tired of reading their stupidity. And not to be so grandstanding, because
Honestly,
I don't think that
it,
all MAGA people or anybody that follows Trump is an idiot. I think the people that are having these that are arguing with me online are idiots, and I don't know if
well,
that makes sense, but
I think it well, let me address two different points here. One, I think it's important to let anybody who's watching or listening know we are familiar with how to isolate and identify bots by and large. So we're not arguing with bots. We're arguing with what we believe are real people. We're trying to have conversations. So I think that's an important distinction. We're not arguing with, bots,
yeah.
bots,
Um.
trolls. But I'm also going to push back. I think
Oh.
we need to clarify
Oh.
about the idiot part.
There. My daughter
Oh,
is on
you're
the phone. I will leave the stream going if you want to talk and people show up. If you want to hit on a couple
well,
points,
I can run down this. I'll run down the
great.
talking.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Yeah, but by the way, I mean, he's going to talk to his daughter. She is at, at National Guard boot camp. So while he's talking to his daughter, I believe he's got the screen up. Nope, it's not up anymore. So anyway, you go to Medium, look up my name, but there's 9 patterns, and you're gonna see these all the time. The first one is that preemptive hostility. Anybody who enters into the conversation calling you, pick a name, any name, right? Liberal, snowflake, idiot. I mean, I've pretty much seen it all. I think you just ignore that part because it's the attack. It's the platform of hate and fear. This is the thing Aaron and I talk about all the time. The entire current administration's platform is based on hate and fear. And I would suggest to anybody who disagrees with me to consider the logic of the the hate for uh, immigrants who are paying their taxes, but not villainizing the billionaires who don't. We've been taught, or they've been taught, that they can't stand immigrants because of their color, or they can't stand. All right, that wasn't Gabby.
Yeah, it was. I guess everybody got in trouble this week, so she had 2 minutes to call us. She was very not happy. But, you
Hey,
know.
I was talking about how the entrance into the conversations are based on hate and fear. That, if you think about the fact that why the MAGA folks and the Trump supporters can't stand immigrants who pay taxes, but venerate and worship the billionaires who don't.
Right? I saw that. I think it was. Yeah, I don't think you were the only one that posted something about that this week. About
Right.
this, like, it is a bit ridiculous that we had that there's people like that, like that. Well, and actually, I feel like, and I'm not coming there to their defense, but I have to imagine that as ill-informed as many in the crowd can be, that there's probably more of a selling point that they don't think that the people that are getting deported are like
Yeah, and
responsible.
as a matter of fact, there was a person that I know on Threads who listens to Spanish radio,
Mhm.
and she was saying that she accidentally tuned into a far right wing Hispanic radio station, and they're saying things like, um, the um that Biden is the one, that Trump's trying to save them. Biden is the one who, Trump's just having to do this stuff because of the Biden administration.
Okay.
I mean, it's just the point is that
I
I believe there is some idiocy involved when you don't try to find, I think it's fair to say, I want to say, when you don't try to find accurate information, it's really important to know that last week you and I were going to have to grit our teeth and suck it up and say nice things about Trump switching his platform to not deporting immigrants out of the farms,
oh yeah,
um
and then Taco.
and then the flip-flop.
Yeah,
And
I
so
mean,
ready to, we're not this orange man bad thing. We were actually going to demonstrate, okay, we have to say, we have to
no,
acknowledge
you know what? There is one thing. I wouldn't say it's a good thing, but it's more of like
not
ran.
a bad thing.
Well, it's more of a what is it? It's more of like a ran out of policy and followed through kind of. I feel like it's being misrepresented, but there were zero migrants allowed into the country in May. Remember how they've been making a big deal? No illegals in May. So I was curious, okay, because that is a promise made, promise kept kind of example, right? Which they love to point to, and so that's a solid one for them. So then I decided to look into it to find out, okay, what is the explanation here?
To
Um,
do a little.
yeah, and so just so we're clear, it's they're saying it the way that they're saying it because it doesn't accurately reflect what's happened. So first, I know. So first, a part of the deal that Mexico made with Trump was that they would also up their own border security, which it wasn't like they didn't before. It was just that if you don't want tariffs, then you like we've talked about, like we've had the conversation about how tariffs are simultaneously going to bring jobs back while equally being used as a tool for trade. Okay, in Mexico's case, it was used as a tool for trade. No jobs are coming. I mean, you know what I mean, like. But that being said, I'm not gonna say no jobs because there's claims that jobs will be. We'll see, because some of them, anyway. I don't want to get in the weeds. Mexico's up.
Like,
Yeah, Mexico has upped their border security. Not to mention the number of migrants has gone down because Trump is shipping them off to El Salvador. Or at least people are led to believe that. And then our border security has also gone up. In May 2024, they stopped something around like 111,000 migrants, and expelled over half, like almost a little under half of them, and then the rest were basically following the new immigration policy that Biden had put in place, where they were basically like they're seeking asylum. Okay, this is how this is the process by you seek asylum. Basically, a lot of the law following that we've been talking about. I put it in quotes, not quotes. Like they're following the law, right? They're here claiming asylum, and in that
Right.
asylum process, they have to go through immigration court. There's all this processes that they have to follow and rules that they have to follow, and that's a part of like why there was I don't remember the exact number, but basically the number of crossings is down something like 93%. And then of the 7% from last year to this year that did come through, they either all of them were immediately turned around or detained. So it's not like we don't have border crossings in May. It just means that like people that are coming through, if they're claiming asylum instead of following Biden's policy, they're instead just detained or immediately expelled. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
I'm trying to relate it to the MAGA talking points conversation.
Yeah,
It's like my brain is short circuiting on this one, but I think the point is that w in this moment, we're having to deal with a lot of spin, which has always occurred on
yeah.
both sides.
Yeah, and I meant to bring I was bringing all that up because we were talking about how we were gonna um, give credit where credit's due, and I guess
Oh,
this
sorry.
is
No,
the
no, that's
yeah.
good.
I
So
guess this is the to
that
me
really
yeah.
I guess it is.
It
I think it goes back to the MAGA talking point that Democrats want open borders, which is not true. If there are 0 illegal border crossings, yay! My God, we're all happy about that,
Yeah, well,
right?
and that's the thing. Oh, that's the thing that becomes really frustrating whenever we talk about this is that they'll say Biden let in 62,000 illegal immigrants, and it's like, but they aren't illegal. Like they crossed the border illegally, but they're not here in the United States illegally, right? They're going through the legal process that the United States government constructed,
I'm going to even take it a step further. What is the point? I mean, we're having these discussions with MAGA people about the illegal immigrants.
right?
Oh, okay, what's your point?
Like, what's my point?
No, what's their point? I mean,
Oh,
we're
I
not
mean,
asking the right questions. That's part of this MAGA civil discourse guide.
yeah, but they
You want to
have good counterpoints. I'm sorry, go ahead.
um I, to say they have good counterpoints, I think is giving them credit where credit is not due. We're asking the wrong questions.
Oh, I
Okay,
mean,
so there's 7 point some illegal immigrants in the United
right.
States. Oh, great, yay. Okay. And then what? I'd rather have an illegal immigrant family living next to me. I saw this meme. I'd rather have an illegal immigrant family that's working and paying taxes with 2 happy trans children living next to me than I would a MAGA or fundamentalist Christian family, white supremacist or,
Yeah.
Christian national family
Yes.
living. So what's your point? You have
Yeah.
no credible
Yeah.
limits
Because
on
the
any of the talking
yeah.
points.
Well, because when I say that they have good talking points, I mean whenever you ask that question, okay, well, what's the problem with that? They'll say, oh, they'll point to all the examples of migrant violence, right?
Same examples.
Yes, every time. And so whenever we say, I agree, we're not asking the right questions, right? But the to me the question is not okay. Well, so what? What's the problem with that? Doesn't feel like the right question to me, right? If it
I
feels, yeah. Do what?
I can see that.
Yeah.
So I think the better question is, um, you know, I if the illegal immigrants are so much trouble and causing so much trouble, we go back to the normal talking points is, okay, well then how come they're paying 11 or whatever billion
Yes.
dollars in.
Yes.
How come you can legitimately prove that more crime is committed by US citizens? Why do you have to just find so many, like on one hand, I can count the number of extreme examples you can bring to the table, but every single time there is a white male church person or Republican who is a pedophile or has,
Right.
child. So, uh,
I just
I,
wanted to. I'm just, and again, we
I agree.
agree
I agree.
completely. I
Completely.
yeah, because the reason why I feel like I always want to think of the counterpoints that they're going to bring to the, like, it's debate strategy, right? If I know what my opponent is going, how my opponent is going to respond, then I can start pre-formulating the
But
argument to like try and restructure it to
back,
the.
back to the guide, we're not trying to change their mind.
I know.
We're
I'm
trying
not.
to say,
I'm not trying to change their mind either. I'm trying to change other people's minds that are viewing
yeah,
from
I
the
think these
outside.
are two different things too. I think the MAGA civil discussion guide that I created
Mhm.
is to not necessarily defend for other people around you. It is literally how to defend yourself
Right.
and have a conversation. You and I learned this from you. We engage in some of these difficult conversations, knowing that we're not changing the person's mind,
Right.
but that we are able to articulate clearly the dissenting point of view in order for other people who may be on the fence or who agree with us to say, I never thought of it that way.
Right.
Oh, I gotta write that down. I mean, I've had people tell me that they have seen stuff I've posted and, oh my gosh, you just gave me this great talking point.
Right.
So
Well,
the
and I
discussion
guess so that's on me. I mean, I've read the guide, so, and for me, I think
up with the guide.
yeah, I was about to say, and for me, it feels like practically applied, kind of, if that, it just feels like yeah, this all makes sense. This is exactly like how.
Crazy. I mean, these are all toxic behaviors that I mean, I had someone argue with me that, well, these aren't just MAGA, these are, everywhere. Everybody does it. I'm like, yeah, everybody does it. But this package, this set of trends is very specific to MAGA. And I think we have to remember that in these difficult moments, our ability to defend our position gives us a sense of solidity, um, that it gives us a sense of stability. I think it gives us a sense of, we are literally, fighting a moral fight right now.
Right.
So anyway, we're going to put the link up for the MAGA uh, civil discourse guide. I think that this is what I had hoped we'd talk about this weekend, but sadly, it has been
There's.
overshadowed by many things, not the least of which is the United States bombing Iran. So why don't we? You are way more qualified to have that conversation than I am. So do you want to start taking us down that rabbit hole?
Yeah, I mean, so I don't want to. I guess for a little bit of news, which I don't want to. There's if you're not aware, or at least somewhat aware, there is a ton of information out there. I think we also post stuff from like New York Times. We post stuff from what do we have, like New York Times, The Guardian,
You have New York Times. We use the Guardian. I have the Washington
Washington
Post.
Post.
The Atlantic. So yeah,
Yeah,
we try to post
there
and gift
is
any
tons
article.
and tons and tons and tons of information out there about these strikes. So
Right.
to summarize, because I'm not going to get into all the nitty gritty military strategy side of it, we dropped 14 MOP, which are also known as bunker busters. What are they? They're like the BDU 57s.
And to
Um,
clarify, those are the ones that can go down like they incur damage like 200 feet down.
I think it's more than. I think it's. Yeah, it might be 200 feet. I thought it was like kilometers of distance. They go crazy underground because then
Yeah,
that's the whole.
that's why
Yeah.
they're called bunker busters
Yeah.
because they're designed to destroy any facility that's
Yes.
underground.
And then we launched a whole bunch of Tomahawk rockets from submarines. We launched a whole bunch of things at Iranian nuclear installations, with the argument being that if you ask people who consider themselves military experts, that these were the only weapons that could do it. Whether or not that is true, because I would say that it probably is for at least one of these facilities based on the location that you could, if you want to go look, you can find on the map. It's deep in the mountains. It's believed that they had a very large underground facility, and they dropped some bunker busters on them. And the justification for this action was to prevent Iran from getting nuclear weapons, which is a struggle to be had because at this moment we're not even sure if that's what we've done. We don't even know if we've affected the Iranian nuclear capability. 6 months ago, there wasn't even a threat that was in front of Congress. Tulsi Gabbard looking them in the eye and saying there is no credible nuclear threat. I'm willing to understand that new intelligence can change things, but to go from 6 months ago there being no nuclear threat, and I don't mean no nuclear threat or we're not sure. I mean with confidence, looking, yeah.
We need to be super clear about something, and I want to make sure I say it correctly, because I felt fairly confident that I knew something.
Right.
And every day that changes. But there was, I want to find her name, Kelsey Davenport, who is the director for the non-proliferation policy at the US-based Arms Control Association, was talking to the BBC on Friday, and she said that she has not seen anything that presented clear or compelling evidence that Iran was on the brink of weaponization.
Yes. There is speculation from people. I wouldn't call them credible people, because it's just speculation and it's mostly far right influencers more than anyone else. That there was intelligence received from Israel that led us to believe that there was some nuclear capability happening, and that's why Israel struck.
Yeah, I have to confess to a profound lack of ignorance. No, that's not fair. I am super hesitant to make a blanket statement about Israel, Gaza, Iran, any of that, but I'm going to say that it is conveniently suspicious that, our president is in.
Oh, you were right, by the way. It is 200 feet. Sorry.
That our president seems to be at the beck and call of another nation's leader.
Right. And the again, that's how people feel because that is the observed behavior. I feel like is the there is a lot of argument to be made that that Israel is our only ally in the Middle East. There is, there's just a lot of him and hawing about our relationship with Israel and how it can be very extremely one-sided and one-sided as us providing Israel with support.
Well, and I want to make a few observations, basically for whatever they're worth. I think it's important to say that there are a lot of things that we can hypothesize about. I had a discussion with a friend of mine, Marcel, about, oh, this was planned for years, and I'm skeptical about that. Or people saying, well, this is all theater. I have seen that where, I mean, let's be clear, it's not like the US is the poster child for national secrecy, right?
Right.
And so if you think, let me finish real quick.
That's
If
okay.
you think about what the noise has been made in the last week, if you had two licks of sense in Iran, you'd have been moving shit last week, right?
Yeah, and I mean, that is kind of the concern that everybody's raising now is that what we've essentially done, and I don't agree that it is exactly the same, but I feel like it is of similar nature. Is we more or less Pearl Harbored Iran, and then are like, which we might not have anything to show for it, and God knows what the ramifications are going to be. And then I mean, there's just it. It is pretty insane what happened last night.
Well, I mean, I want to be clear about, the theater aspect of it, that, our lack of national secrecy, we make this noise about, like a bully on the playground. Well, I'll beat you up next Tuesday. And the next day out on the lunch, out on the playground, he bonks you in the nose. but you knew it was coming. You knew it was escalating. Well, okay, to what end? Posturing? Make him look good? Is there actually going to be retaliation? Is he going to come out as the good guy and try and say that he,
Yeah.
sort of stuff out? I think the point is it creates a profound sense and I will say, I looked at polls that were done
Hmm.
in the last weeks from the New York Times, the Atlantic. These were done across the country, thousands of people, and literally more than half of the United States said in these polls, 50% of the respondents said, absolutely not. We do not want to bomb Iran. And
Did you see the Republican leanings on that? Because somebody posted those up this morning.
I
68% of Republicans were in support of bombing Iran.
no, I did not see
Yeah,
that.
there was a
Because the polls, it was almost like 60-40 with the Republicans against it. So I guess that goes to show what polls are. You have one poll that says 60%. Was it Republicans or MAGA?
no. I mean, it just said Republicans. And I'd have to go hunt it down, again because I
This is
didn't
the other
save the
thing.
link, but
I think it's important as we talk about hopeful resistance in this moment, it feels hopeless, helpless, like we feel helpless. We're
yeah.
like, what do we do? All this work that we've done is
The
for naught.
the answer, because I told you I would ponder on it.
Mhm.
The answer is, in my opinion, the answer is if you have a representative or a senator that is against this, or even if because there are some Republicans, senators and representatives that are coming out against this, you should absolutely get on the phone. You should absolutely be contacting them in some way. Because even I know where my people stand. Cruz came out basically the night of and was like,
Yep.
yeah.
Right.
And so there's definitely going to be lots of phone calling on my end to be like, yo, dog, what the fuck?
Well, here are three things I came up with. So I will tell you, I have felt hopeless, helpless, pissed off. This is absolutely not my vision of loveliness for retirement.
Right.
Certainly not my nearly 80-year-old husband to be
Yeah.
about this shit. But there's three things here. We need to be blowing up the phones, whether your Republican representative agrees with you or not. Blow up the fucking phone. You call them every day. You tell them this is crazy.
Yeah.
This is not how I mean, you need to get on the phone.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
just and
The second,
if we sound a little, I mean, at least for me, if I sound a little defeated today, it's because I feel a little defeated today.
I
But
mean,
that doesn't mean I'm gonna roll over and die. Sorry.
well, that's okay. We're discombobulated today.
Yeah.
First thing is get on the phone. The
Yes.
second thing is what Aaron just said. You need to feel what you feel. I feel angry, sad, depressed, hopeless, helpless. Why have I been resisting? Okay. Well, okay. And so that leads into the third thing. I think the third thing is when we feel this way, one of the most important things we can do is take action. But right now, the action feels pointless. So I think right now we need to focus on our communities. We need to take food to the homeless shelter. We need to volunteer at the pet shelter. We need to hand out food at the food bank. We need to, get our neighbors together and pick up trash. I mean, we need to pull together in our communities
Yes.
because the
Go ahead.
world is too
Yeah.
the world is too big for us to save.
Yes.
We feel like the world is too big, and the people that we elected, literally the people that we elected to help us, are not. The Democrats are like, I'm going to send you a strongly worded letter.
Yeah. I mean, I told you that I feel like some of
That's
them.
another conversation we need to have
Yeah.
about all that
Because well, and
frivolity.
what's funny is I guarantee that we agree because you remember how fucking angry I was whenever Trump had his rally, and I'm not going to call it, but whenever he had
Yeah.
his rally on the Senate on the congressional floor,
So the
and
guys in the State of the Union.
Yeah, and then the Democrats are over there like this,
Right, right. Fake
like,
news.
oh my god. And people say, well, what are they supposed to do? I'm like, get thrown the fuck out. And so to your same point, I I get I get it like this. I get that they're not gonna come out screaming, which they should be, but that they're gonna send their strongly worded letters because in their mind, well, we're not in power, so what power do we have? Which isn't technically wrong. But sending a strongly worded letter whenever you could be doing a press conference, coming out on live television to condemn him seems like like
And I will say,
seriously underwhelming.
Yeah, Ariella Elm is pretty frustrated because she made the comment that is she's seeing too many Democrats or liberals that are are slamming the Democrats for not doing anything. And I love her. I love what she's doing. She's made it her life's work to amplify the voice of the Democrats.
Yes.
And yet it is frustrating to see the Democrats being so passive.
Yeah.
Um, I don't I don't think, and this is a conversation I think we need to have. I don't know that we can pull this out of the toilet.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a bit today about that there is an effort already that there needs to be a serious restructure of the Democratic Party. Whenever I have this conversation with other people, and it's one of the conversations I'm confident we can have, and a conversation that, for example, with the friend of mine who I think I told you and I'm about to figure out how to format it. He was happy to try and come on, but he will probably not talk or not. Sorry, he'll probably not have video. Sorry, I got it the other way. He won't
Well,
have
let's see, we're gonna have a
yeah.
guest on, but he's not going to
He's just gonna sit there and he's just gonna stare at the camera and observe. Yeah, yes, he's gonna have a sign that's just says fake news. No, sorry. Yes, we needed that. Yeah, he's probably gonna come on and not have a camera, but he so that he's comfortable coming on and talking.
Oh, 100%. So he'll be off camera, audio only. I'm all
Yes.
for that. And all
Um.
he has to do is just block his camera.
Yeah, or just not have a camera plugged in, and yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Um.
These conversations are important to have because I think right now one of the things that keeps me hopeful is we have a couple difficult years. We are going to have to rebuild the United States government. It isn't, I don't see it as being salvageable or recoverable. I think there's too much mess, too much damage, too much has been torn up. Um,
I
I
think yeah.
it's broken, and we're gonna have to put back the best parts and add new parts and get rid of the things that didn't work.
Yeah, and I think the problem that I generally have when people have this discussion is that like the only path to that people see is civil war, which I'm not going to say that we that's not a path and a potential one. It's just the path I personally would be least inclined to want. And I say that as someone who it knows, with not to sound arrogant, but knows with some quite confidence that I would be directly involved if something like that were to happen, because I wouldn't be able to sit here and not do anything.
Right. Well, so let's recap. For anybody, we've got a new viewer. So we talked about the MAGA Civil Discourse Guide. We're going to have a link to that. We've talked about how this and has brought out every MAGA/Trump supporter like roaches when you move a piece of furniture. And that having these difficult conversations with MAGA, whether it's friends or family or coworkers, isn't about changing anybody's mind. It is more about being able to protect your space, have your voice be heard, deflect some of the batshit craziness that you and I would. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, to be told in an argument or a discussion with a MAGA person that the fact that Trump was the Democrats' fault was just like,
I mean,
um, what?
it's absolutely it is
And I
insanely bizarre to me in
the
so many
Democrats have
ways.
done such a bad job. You even said it that in some ways the Democrats are responsible, but I will tell you, I don't see that Kamala Harris was a bad choice.
Yeah, well, and like I made that joke whenever all this was first coming up, and I said that every accusation is a confession wasn't supposed to go this far. It wasn't supposed to stretch all the way into the World War III accusations.
I will
Um,
tell you, pull up some of the tweets just from the last 24 months from, and where are we? What fucking timeline are we in where we're governing by social media any goddamn way?
yeah, oh, I mean that's been Trump's. I mean that's ever since he was in power. But I mean, if we're going to be, I feel like if we're going to be real about, I mean that worked. You want to talk about something that worked? That worked in the worst way. It worked.
I was
It worked.
gonna say,
And
you
we
know,
it
the
worked,
fact
and
that
we
it
sure
worked
fucking wish
doesn't
it
mean it was
hadn't.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, again,
So
the whenever we've talked about hopeful resistance in the past, and we will continue to talk about going forward, we've always just talked about what was because I have this thing pinned, and I always come back and remind myself about but what I would quantify as the three like tenets of like how to remain hopeful, especially whenever you encounter this level of like
say of all the we've been
black
doing this for
pill.
a few months, 6 months or so now, and the batshit craziness that we have addressed up to this point has been significantly less than what we're dealing with today. You and I
Right.
are both the same. There are three things that we talk about, and one of you,
What's that?
you said you have
Yeah,
the three
yeah.
points.
So because I have it pinned on pretty much everywhere, it's just the action, information, and rest. Um, and so we've already talked about action. I guess talk about action again. You know, 5 calls.
I mean, I think right now we're all feeling. I
Yeah,
think we need to address the elephant in the room. I'm feeling just what a clusterfuck, and just gobsmacked with what's going on, and I think a ton of other people are feeling that way.
no,
It's okay to feel that way. So just I would say wallow in that today. But the action you identified and I agree with is you whether your elected representative agrees with you or not, get on the phone
yeah,
every day. Even use the 5 calls app. It'll give you a script. Just read the damn script every day. They have to log those calls. They have to log those calls.
yes.
And then information, what do you recommend for information?
So if you're if you don't have a lot of time, which I'm like that sometimes, one of the websites that I like to use is called "What the Fuck Happened Today" or "What the Fuck Just Happened Today.com."
Right?
It is run by a guy named Matt Kaiser. Shout out to him because this man, on weekdays, goes through everything that happened and writes an article and provides links to what he's talking about. And it mostly includes, it's mostly political stuff. And it includes everything from if the administration is doing something, he's talking about it. Uh, yeah, and then he covers other things sometimes, but a lot of the times it feels like there's so much going on in one day that he's only got time to cover like what he can.
We have a link to him on the show page on YouTube.
Yeah.
We have a ton of links, and he's included in there. I
Yes.
think also for information, Ariella Elm,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a link to her. She highlights what the Democrats are doing. They have a YouTube daily download. They've got there's lots of things going on with the Democrats. It can feel like not enough, but I will say, the argument can be made where not enough, too much, too late, too early, too loud, too soft. I
Yeah.
mean, we're not going to talk about the cannibalization effect here. And then the rest part, I would agree I mean, I quilt. I'm sure you would not have noticed all the fabric behind me if I didn't bring it to your attention, but I stress quilt now. I'm keeping my hands and my mind busy with quilting. Um, uh, but we talked about volunteering in the community. That may offer you reprieve. That may be your action. But action, information, and rest. I think that right now, when the world is on fire, you can't take a fire hose to put the fire out in the whole world. You literally just have to put the fire out in your neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and I feel like, if I would say this, if going to a homeless shelter isn't your thing, if going to what else, like if volunteering isn't your
A
thing,
homeless shelter, a food bank,
yeah,
the
let me give you even smaller. Try to have a cookout with your neighbors. Like, there's so many ways that you can create community.
go pick
It's
up in the park. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
you don't even have to engage with people. If all of
yes.
your neighbors are MAGA Trumpers, you don't necessarily want to have a
I
cookout
know.
with.
I know, and I'm
No,
just
I'm
giving,
I think it can be as simple as just treat yourself, go to the library. We can't become paralyzed by the fear of what might happen.
yes.
I felt that way today because it isn't about, I think the important thing is this isn't about what happened with the bombs dropping.
No.
This is about patterns of behavior that have occurred since the beginning of this administration that were predicted by people prior to the administration.
Yeah. Right? That's like the what was the one that they talked about during the debate or during the election where it was like, "Oh, if he's elected, he'll start a war within 6 months or something."
I made a list. I mean, I'm gonna be fair. I want to be not fair. I want to be an asshole right now, so I'm gonna, because it's our episode and I can do what I want, right?
Yeah.
So there's this concept here of she was right, and I know I'm just gonna share this thought because I think the thing that really hacks me off is, there were people who didn't like her voice, didn't like her laugh, didn't think she had enough experience.
Oh, you want to know what my favorite one is? And this is the one that absolutely drives me through the wall. Is well, I didn't like they just swapped her. That
Oh, the primary.
they didn't
She wasn't in the
primary her.
primary.
Yeah.
Okay, you clearly do not even understand how
Yeah.
primaries work. So here's my thing. These are all I tracked them down, and I am not going to do homework for anybody, but there are videos, and these are things that she actually said. She said that Trump would adopt the policies outlined in Project 2025 despite his denial. Check. She said that his import tariffs would harm the average American's wallet. Check. She said that he would send the military against Americans. Oh wait, that happened recently, right?
Mm-hmm.
She said that within 6 months of his presidency, he'd start a war. She said that he would succumb to Russian President Vladimir Putin's plan to overtake Europe. He would eliminate the Department of Education. He would cut Social Security and Medicare and give tax breaks to billionaires and big
Now I
corporations.
want to just say he didn't delete the DOE. It just doesn't have any funding. It's just rendered inoperable.
Yeah, you got a building. You're not going to
I'm
open it.
sorry to laugh at that, but it is.
Well, it's
So,
kind of like, I will say it's like the argument about Social Security and Medicare. Well, he didn't cut their money, and I'm like, okay, yeah, but he let go of everybody, and so they don't have the same services. And actually, there were cuts to
yeah.
um, Social Security and Medicare. And let's not forget that Doge cost more than it saved.
Mm-hmm.
But the only other thing that I want to point out here is that there was one more prediction that she made, and I just think I want to have it on record that I pointed out what she said, that he was going to move to terminate the Constitution, that it was irrelevant. I think he's rendered it irrelevant, and he has
Yeah,
been elected
I
to
would
render.
I would actually ag- agree, albeit
No,
he didn't. Our congressional, our elected members did. This is the thing I was talking about before, where over the last 20
I
years
think
or
that's a
so.
little semantics. He did it. He did it with approval. So they did it together.
Yeah, but I
He
mean,
couldn't have done it without them, but they made it possible for him to do it.
yes, that is probably the better way to put it. Because, like I said, over the last 20 years, the legislative branch has been shucking its responsibilities onto the executive.
I'm
But
not going to
yeah,
disagree with that, but we've had people with marginal amounts of integrity.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing I mentioned that I mentioned to you. I don't know if I said it while we were on or before, but that's the
We
real.
say that all the time.
That is the we took it all for granted. We were under the
We
assumption.
did. We have said this since we started the podcast that
Yes.
that we take democracy so for granted. So let's reiterate because I am out of gas for this. Um, it is batshit craziness right now. The fuckery is off the charts. It is perfectly okay for you to feel whatever you're feeling.
Yeah.
Not let these fuckers drive you to drink if you're trying to be sober. Don't let them drive you to eat or not eat. If you have a eating disorder, don't let them drive you to, you know, give yourself bangs if you don't have bangs right now. Don't dye your hair red. Don't do anything crazy. It's not worth it.
Although, if dyeing your hair red is gonna make you feel better.
I will say dyeing your hair red's self harm, any of the other things
Yeah.
that are are not good. So feel whatever you're feeling. But the second thing is, so there's four things, I guess. Feel whatever you're feeling. Take action. Uh, if you can't call, if you don't want to talk to a human, call before or after office hours and leave a message. But for the love of all that is holy, at least have your voice heard. We will not lie down. We cannot be silent. You've
Right.
got to be able to look yourself and other people that you love and care about in the eye and say, I did something.
Right.
Okay. That's an action. If you can't do that, if you just don't even feel like you can do that, pick up trash, plant a flower, go to the park, do some things to engage with your community. We have lists of information, credible information, and rest. Um, rest, however that looks like to
Today
you.
might be. It's appropriate that it's Sunday whenever we're saying go ahead and rest.
Right? I mean,
Not
it's
that you and me are religious, but it's just.
No, one of the crazy things I keep seeing is, okay, today's supposed to be a day of rest, but I've been up since 2 in the morning worrying about, military strikes. And then of course, how are we supposed to work when it feels like the world is on fire? This is where by reaching out to our community, and I think by connecting with the people that we love and care about, doing acts of love and service. I talk about my quilting. I give these suckers away. And I shared with Aaron, we gave one to I sent one to a woman who had been a guest on the show before. And it was hope. It was actually the word that was on it. And it meant a lot to her. And so I think when we are kind to other people, we be kind to each other
Yeah.
and get us through. We can't control what we can't control.
Yeah.
And so we have to do the things that my dog is driving me nuts. Y'all want to
Hi.
see my dog? Come here. Come on. Come on. Come on. You're trying to get up here. Ugh. Ugh. Look. Look.
Hi.
Good boy.
Hi.
Say hi. Say hi.
Just had to be a part of it, and now that you're a part of it, you don't want to be a part of it.
No,
We
right?
got it.
He's been clawing at my legs.
Fighting so hard.
He's been clawing at my legs for probably the last 10 minutes
Yes.
wanting to go. And now he's like, yeah, no,
Okay, thank you. I'm good now. That's all I wanted. Yeah, it's just I like my the thing that I after all that, I just want to reiterate, at least for myself as much for anybody else, is like, yes, in these moments, it feels like, what's the point? And that, in my opinion, is what is probably what they want. They want you to say, what's the point, and give up and just conform to what they
Okay.
want.
I
Um,
don't think they care. I don't. First of all, I think I could be super specific to say I don't think they care how we feel. They don't care about anything except for them. But I would say they would rejoice in our feeling hopeless.
yes, that's
And I'm
probably
not going.
yeah,
I mean, I may feel that way this moment, but I am not going to rest in hopelessness.
yeah. So really glad we got to talk today. I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm a little down in the dumps. And you know what? You know what though? It was even
You
more.
can't apologize to me.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can apologize about that if we're telling them that it's
I know.
okay.
No, I just mean like because I was really excited to talk about the guide, and I think whenever we talked about it before, you probably saw my excitement, and all that excitement is just gone.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
was
not. It's
gonna
not. I'm
say,
sorry for being down. It's like I'm sorry that we didn't
the
get to express the excitement.
no, I think the universe, shit happens. And
Yeah,
so we have put the MAGA civil discourse guide out. We've had a lot of people respond that it's been super helpful. We
I
are going
take
to
no
continue.
credit for that. That is all you.
Well, what's so
Yeah,
funny is it came out of the patterns that I had observed. I mean, the thing people just don't realize, and if you talk to any behaviorist or sociologist, they're going to tell you patterns reveal everything.
right.
Patterns reveal everything about a person's character, about their nature, about their thought processes, and you have to look at patterns over a certain period of time. I've been looking at MAGA patterns for 4
Yeah,
years. This is not something I just woke up and said, "Oh, hey,
yeah.
this week's been good. I'm gonna
I'm gonna
pull
go write
together."
this thing. Yeah,
No, so the
yeah,
patterns came together and then people were like, "Well, what do you do? And what do you do when? And why do they do this?" And
yeah,
you know, so I'm just glad that we could do something like that. And so
yeah,
it is a crazy day and I'm
yeah.
glad we do this together. And
Me too. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I would never. I don't think I'll ever be so bummed or so hopeless that I'm not going to get on because this is a part of our action, as small as it
No,
is. This
I
is,
agree.
yeah,
Yeah, it never occurred to me that we would not do an episode
yeah.
today. I can't fake being happy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and yeah, and then mine was like I said, I feel like I was kind of like, all right, let's talk about this, let's get going, and then the 2 minute call with my daughter just kind of made it all go even further of like, yeah, I'm just kind of really done with. Can we start tomorrow now?
There yet? Are we there yet?
Yeah,
So anyway, we do have some great interaction, with each other, and we also have people who give us a lot of good feedback. So
yeah,
our resistance. I'm glad we're here, and we will just continue to resist. Today is a little passive resistance.
yeah, yes. So,
So,
but no,
all
we
right. Thank you for joining us. I know we have a few people and we've gotten some messages on I've gotten some messages on Messenger anyway. So
nice.
and until we get together again, my friends, bye for now. Recording stop.